March 13th, 2020, meditation continued. Have you ever thought after the last explanation in the last video, how long has the bullying been going on? How long has these men been going around talking to other men and treating the ladies so sweet and so tender and loving them so much? And then considered what that man might have been going through to start doing the drugs that these people are saying he's doing in his home? Methamphetamine specifically. Have you ever thought about how a drug dealer gets a human person, a person hooked on drugs? Have you ever thought about how long these thoughts would take to complete and wrap up and finish? How little time's required to solve a problem? And how much these folks who bully and these folks who say to people they're going to fuck them up and write stuff on their door and walk around with brevity and perfectly humble voices and stand taller than the freaking Statue of Liberty and have fists more terrifying than a hammer. And not been able to complete a thought. Felt so bad for that man who's probably suffered and had to not only deal with his health, not only try to solve his problems, tobacco use and whatever else, he's always out front smoking. With these kind of people next to him, who don't just go and talk to a person on their own, they meet other people around them in the world. And they have friends and groups, and they have acquaintances, and they have other people like me who they do enough to make quiet and silent, who require people like me to adhere to their rules, their standards, and their psychology. And taking a moment to process the information available, the amount of time needed to process the information and data, and then come to a reasonable conclusion. I'm overreacting. I'm a bitch. I'm gonna get killed if I get seen by the wrong people. My emotions, the tall man says, need to get figured out. Problem, big problem. Like the dialect on the door. Take shower. Change diaper. And then that same person goes across the hall to the other ethnicity and the other dialect and talks to them as if they are the change they wish to see in the world. They are benefiting the social good. Keeping people's bodies, keeping their selves from having emotion, and especially the hormones. Their faces, the identity, the attention and awareness from some psychopath, freaking bonkers, wall smashing, knife holding in their kitchen terrorist. The sirens in the background need to come to take me. They need to not take me to some institution where they just lock me up and then release me and have me go sit next to these kind of people around me. And they need to drop me in a ditch. Take those few people out there who want to group up, let them shovel the dirt and bury me alive. And then the monk who sets themselves on fire in the middle of China, the monk who sets them on fire because they can't have any freedom to say Om Mani Padme Hum, will not freak someone out because they think the person is trying to kill everyone around them. They will recognize the smell from their dead and dying body. And they will stare in the mirror when they see the video with Om. And they will have no God to pray for anymore. They will have no religion to hide behind. And they'll have to watch these videos and stare into the social worker's eyes they visit and try to say they knew more than me. I was so stupid I set myself on fire and nobody got hurt, but I was out to hurt somebody and kill them. And they'll remember that smell, and they will remember the odor from a healthy human being who had chordoma and cancer and surgery, who was trying to get healthy, but no longer had the freedom. And had to adhere to their demands for the sake of their stimulus, their reward, and their brilliance and genius. One of my favorite poets in college was a man named Allen Ginsberg. And he wrote Howl. You know, it's like howl. And howling has a lot to do with freedom. And speaking. And not being restricted in your home. Because someone is terrified at the sound, the tone, and the loudness of a voice howling. And he wrote this poem overnight, reads it on YouTube, and lives on probably for eternity on YouTube. And Have You Ever has a little bit of a howl, but it also has very easy to understand instructions. It's for a college medical school application. And the card on my door, the website to visit, aren't the choices and location to go and try to take and to try to cause violence or try to cause more suffering. And they're not some plea so I don't kill myself and commit suicide like the person over there says, the person down there, and everyone else, who say I'm also violent and dangerous. You find a person in Tibet with Om Ahum Vajra Guru Padma Siddhi Hum, you go to them and say, I'm scared you're going to kill me. Have you ever considered doing that kind of activity and choice? Have you ever thought about what the monk would say? What the spiritual learner would do emotionally? And there you have the duality. A person who's mildly autistic recovering from chordoma, who doesn't have to have emotion like being like what's described by the reward maniac and his friends and their lovers, but can describe the process and the system to make what they're saying understandable. And the duality with the emotion in the monk are the lack of respect, are the rules for what the monk has to say. No freedom, no, Tashi Dalik, only no emotion, the racist and their victim. The bully and the innocent. Have you ever thought about a 15-minute meditation and been worried while you're thinking about the 15-minute meditation, the police are going to show up probably at any time because my voice is out of hand? Out of hand. And when the hand covers the mouth and I talk like this, then I have another requirement because they say it's too scary. I sound like Darth Vader. And so I need to go to the hospital and get checked out because now there's another problem. So the loud voice calls the police, and then the muffling sounds like I'm hanging myself and killing myself from a song that I've made from having chordoma and being suffocated by a tumor. So where is the Om Ahum Vajraguru Padma Siddhi Hum? The Om. How does all of these emotions these people cause and then control, restrict, and maintain as the balance for the world required for consciousness and safety from their grasp and their fist and their foot, their bodies, willing to cause harm to get their brains and minds some weed, some sex, some liquor, booze, and a cigarette? Have you ever gotten dizzy from what people do with their brains, minds, and bodies? Like what I'm describing? And had a taste in your mouth almost like mercury. And not known how to get it out? People like Steve go and get meth because they are so sick and tired and they can't get enough food to feel well again. People like me have to go so far with an explanation to include setting the body, mind, and brain on fire and containing it in aluminum foil and then turning to ash and dust.